Hey everybody and welcome. I'm Mr. T, and today is the first video in a series designed to teach you how to play the drums. Today, we're talking about stick grip, striking, and the basics of the drum set. Stick around. This is Rhythm Section. Hello everybody and welcome. As I said, this is the first video in a series designed to teach you to play the drums, and today we're starting with the basics, your stick grip, and how to strike the drums of the drum set. We'll also give you a drill to take home with you in practice. If you're at home with a practice pad, that's a great way to go. If you do have a drum set, that's awesome as well. I'm using an electronic drum set made by Roland, and I am going to be demonstrating on the main pad here, which sounds like this. We want to thank our sponsors today, the Diodario Foundation and the Bill Graham Foundation, who are bringing this series to you. Check out the link below for additional resources. Without further ado, let's get started. There are two grips we'll discuss today. One is the matched grip. The other is traditional grip. Let's start with the matched grip. The matched grip gets its name because it is the same in both hands, right and left. I'm going to demonstrate with my right hand. For the matched grip, my thumb is parallel to the stick. My palm is down. The three fingers I have remaining that are not my pointer finger are curled underneath. And that pointer finger I just mentioned, that is the fulcrum. If you have ever seen a seesaw on the playground, that pointer finger becomes the fulcrum point of a seesaw upon which your stick is going to move up and down. Your three fingers behind that fulcrum are generating the power for that strike whenever you can. That's conserving energy in your forearm so that you can play longer, stronger, faster. Yes, 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 yes. What I do not want to do is use my whole arm for that motion because I'm putting so much strain on my shoulder, so much on the elbow, and I'm really tiring out my forearm more than I have to. Now, when I'm really ripping, yes, of course I want to use that forearm. That is my primary muscle when I'm really needing it. But whenever I can, those three fingers are going to be my power generator. The second grip that I want to discuss today is the traditional grip, and I'm getting it ready right now. The traditional grip goes back to marching because the marching drums used to be on one side of the body. And when the knee came up to march in step, the hand had to come up. And as such, the matched grip would not work because it would force your arm into a chicken wing. However, the traditional grip allows for a palm up strike on the left hand. And you end up with a grip that creates a different type of fulcrum. In this case, the fulcrum is just a bit between my middle finger and my ring finger. And the power is not being generated by three fingers underneath, but in fact my thumb at the rear and the twisting of the forearm. The traditional grip would look like this. Got a little rim there, but you get the idea. So when I have that palm up, I'm going to show you in the camera, I'm using the wrist and the thumb to generate the power, but I'm keeping that same matched grip on the right hand. Now that we've talked about two different grips, let's talk about striking the drum set, whether it's the snare or one of the toms. The important thing to remember about drums is that drum sticks bounce off of them, and that energy can be harnessed. We don't want to expend a lot of energy just getting the sticks moving. No good. Notice how I'm burying that stick in the drum? That means to get it back up, I have to physically lift it back up and strike it again. That's no good. What would be better is letting the stick bounce freely and then catching it with those three fingers in my grip. Now it's taking a lot less effort to get that strike. Letting the stick bounce and harnessing that energy is the first thing to consider when striking the drum. Second, of course, is your dynamic. How do you want it to sound? Do you want it soft? what you would call pianissimo dynamic? Or do you want it strong? A fortissimo dynamic, something that's really going to cut through the mix. That's totally up to you, but whatever you do, being mindful of that rebound is going to help you. When you strike a cymbal, similar to the drum, it's important to be mindful not to bury your stick in the cymbal. It damages the cymbal, it's hard on your arm, and the sound is just atrocious. What I would suggest is consider a glancing blow. Let your stick bounce off the cymbal at a bit of an angle. I'm going to add a little bass when I do it. And I've got that side to side sweep. And it just helps me keep it clean. Now, I won't always do that. Sometimes I want a choked sound, but I might do something intentional. That wasn't a particularly tight cymbal mute, but I'll keep practicing. Dynamic also applies to the cymbals. You can strike a cymbal hard, or you can strike it softly. Depending on where you strike the cymbal, you'll get a different sound. Up at the bell versus the bow, it's going to be different. An additional consideration for striking the drum set is whether you're using a single stroke or a double stroke in your playing. A single stroke is exactly what it sounds like. One strike, making one sound with one stick. That makes sense, but the double stroke is really interesting. Perhaps you've heard a drum roll before that was really fast and you thought, wow, that guy must really be ripping. If he were single stroke rolling, it might sound like this. Very cool. But the double stroke roll is one last strike I'd like to cover today. In the double stroke, each stick is not hitting once, but twice. Again, what it sounds like. Allow me to demonstrate a double stroke on my right hand. I let the stick bounce, I caught it a little, and there was just a follow-up strike. I'll do it again. That's the double stroke. I'll apply it to the left hand as well. Okay, if I put those together, I end up with a different type of roll. Not a single stroke roll, but a double stroke roll. If I played it very slowly, it would sound like this. A great way to count that is mama, papa, mama, papa. Now you're probably wondering, Mr. T, what is the point of that? When am I going to use that? Well, perhaps so slowly, not as often, but applied at a higher rate. The double stroke roll sounds a little different. What if I went faster than that? Well, now hold on. We're really getting somewhere now. To achieve that sound, each stick is actually hitting twice, and it's rebounding just a little bit off the head. I'm going to demonstrate that right now by going from a slow double stroke to a quicker double stroke, a higher tempo double stroke, and then slowing down again. I'd like you to watch that mama papa count. This is something you can practice at home. Here comes the double stroke roll. Elbows are relaxed. 3 fingers generating as much power as I can. Catching some rebound now. Gonna use that drum head rebound. Oh, it's a little sloppy, and that's okay. I don't mind making mistakes. I'm just gonna hold it for a minute. I'm gonna slow it down. Now you can hear I missed a few in there, and that's all right. It's just a demonstration, and that just shows us it's okay to make mistakes. That single drill right there will make you a stronger drummer in 3 days, period. Because you're activating the muscle groups you need. You're coordinating that double stroke roll, which is building your speed. And honestly, the double stroke roll just comes in handy for a ton of things. I even apply double strokes to the hi-hat sometimes. Really, there are two ways to kick the pedals of your drum set: heel up or heel down. In heel up, your toes are in direct contact towards the top of your bass pedal. And when you wish to strike that bass, you're lifting and dropping it. Another way to kick the pedal would be heel down. In this case, your heel is in contact with the bass pedal, but your toes are as well. And when you strike that bass pedal, you're lifting from the toes more than the heel, and you're generating the strike in that fashion. Today, we've talked about two types of grips, as well as some considerations for striking the drums, including the importance of harnessing rebound and creating a fulcrum in your grip. Today, I'd like to leave you with a drill designed to practice those very mechanics. The strike drill consists of 2 strikes on each drum. And if you only have one pad at home, that's fine. All strikes are going to be on that single practice pad. If you are seated, you'll use your foot on the floor to simulate a kick pedal. And of course, if you have a kick pedal, you can use that as well. Here is the strike drill. Each one getting 2 with my bass drum in between. Now, if you have a metronome and you can practice 2 a click, that is even better. Folks, that's it today for stick grip and basic introduction to the drum set. Tune into our next video where we'll talk about tempo and rhythm counting. I'm Mr. T with Rhythm Section Drum Lines. Keep your beats tight and your fills clean. See you next time.